We are recording this. The recording in a day or so will be posted on the TNPS website. And anybody who misses tonight or wants to recheck something that was said has the ability to go onto our website. It'll be on the speakers page on the website. If you have questions during the talk, I ask that you hold your questions to the end. It gets awkward going back and forth. So please write your questions down in the chat. For those who are not yet very comfortable with Zoom, if you look at, excuse me, look at the very bottom of your screen, there's a little place where you have a couple buttons. One of them says chat. If you click on that, you can write out your question. And when Dennis is finished, we'll start feeding him questions to answer. With that said, I'd like to introduce our speaker this evening, Dennis Horn, who was the major propellant, major author for our native wildflower book, which he'll show you in a few moments. Dennis has been with TNPS since 1978?
Correct. Yes.
Since the beginning.
Since the beginning.
So he has he's our history, our living history of the organization. And it is my honor to have Dennis be the first speaker for this series. We have a pretty much a full slate. I think I haven't locked in the October speaker yet, but that's pending. And we're all the way through till January with a monthly speaker, with the exception of December, which I figured too many people are doing too much during December as it is. We get overloaded. So that said, Dennis, I'll turn this over to you and let you give your talk.
Okay, thank you very much, Erin. I compiled this from some of my slides or images, as well as images from various photographers who have kindly provided photographs for our wildflower book. Whoop. There it goes.
There we go.
Wildflowers of Tennessee, Ohio Valley, and Southern Appalachians. It's in its fourth printing now, and has sold really quite well throughout the eastern United States. We also sell this Woody Plants book of Tennessee and Kentucky. Dr. Wofford provided some excellent photographs for this book of twigs, buds, and fruits, and those are all in the winter setting. So it's a winter book for identification of woody plants. We also have this field guide to the vascular plants of Tennessee. This is a technical manual made up of keys to all of the 2,850 species in Tennessee. This is a $50 book that we're now selling for $30 until our inventory is depleted. These books we do not sell online. We sell them when in person at field trips, or when we do presentations, or at lawn and garden shows. So here's a picture of spring. The red buds and the dogwoods are in bloom. The trees are not fully leafed out yet, but they are starting to show green. April is a month that has the same amount of daylight as August, but the danger of frost is not over yet in April. And so the trees are kind of reluctant to come out fully yet. This gives us about 6 weeks then from the middle of March to the first week of May for the little ephemerals to come up, flower, fruit, and go dormant as the floor of the forest goes dark, and they sort of stay quiet then until the following spring. I'm going to show some of the images of our spring flowers, sort of following the same order as the Wildflower book. From first some dicots, then some monocots, and showing first kind of phylogenetically from the more primitive plants, moving on through to the more advanced plants. Here is wild ginger. It is a deciduous plant. It is in the family with Dutchman's pipe, little brown jug, and some of the heart leaves. The flowers consist of a fused calyx. So you're looking at 4 or 5 plants, flowers here that are just little jugs with just a small opening in the end where the ants and other crawling insects pollinate these plants. They don't usually see the light of day because they're covered up in the leaf litter, and they don't need to see the light of day because they are pollinated by crawling insects. The other is deciduous. This one is, you can see these all year round pretty much. They're kind of like evergreen. Now we're going to move on to the buttercups. This is in the buttercup family. By the way, buttercups are not daffodils or vice versa. But anyway, it's also called the crowfoot family because of the leaves. The flowers are either radially symmetric or they're bilaterally symmetric. Other members of this family include the hepaticas, the anemones, the rue anemones, and the wood anemones, doll's eyes. It's quite a large family. Blue cohosh in the barberry family is in the same family as twin leaf and umbrella leaf, and also mayapple. Mayapple is quite common in the spring in the woods, large colonies, both in rich areas and in upland areas. Out of the fork of the 2 leaves is a solitary flower about 1.5 inches in diameter. It's a large flower. On a warm day, it has kind of a lemony scent. And I think in the past, the underground parts have been used as a treatment for childhood leukemia. I doubt if it is any longer, but that was earlier, I understand. Squirrel corn, Dutchman's breeches, and wild bleeding heart are all in this bleeding heart subfamily. Squirrel corn is more common in the eastern Tennessee, whereas Dutchman's breeches is more common in middle Tennessee. Okay, fire pink, fire because it's red, and pink because it's a member of the pink family. And the pink family got its name supposedly not because of the color pink, but because the petals are pinked or notched. They say that the word pink was used in that way before it was ever used as a name for color. Also in this pink family is the chickweed. This is a 5-petaled flower that is so deeply notched it appears to have 10 petals. And another example then of the pink way that the flowers grow. Canada violet, the violets, we have over 25 species. They have kind of a pansy looking face, most of them. They come in white or yellow or lavender or blue. These three that I've showed here all have flowers and foliage on the same stem or stalk. They're the stemmed violets. Then we have a whole group of stemless violets where the flowers and the leaves are on separate stalks. And the ones that are the most troublesome to identify are the blue stemless violets. Cutleaf toothwort. We have 4 species of toothwort. This is typical of the way the flowers look. It's in the mustard family, four petaled. Most of them are all white with maybe a tinge of pink. The mustards are an important food family. Our turnips, cabbage, broccoli, all come from this family, as does canola oil, radishes, horseradish, and mustard that we put on our hot dogs all come from the mustard family. Shooting star is a member of the primrose family. I think the only other plant that is still in that family now that's in Tennessee is the featherfoil. It's an aquatic plant, lots of it in West Tennessee. The shooting star has a rosette of spatulate-shaped leaves. Then the flowers come up on a naked stalk. The 5 petals turn back, lay back, and the flowers look like they're coming down out of the sky. Stonecrop, it's a member of the sedum, it's in the sedum genus. It has succulent leaves. Often grows on dry places, on top of huge house-sized boulders. Often you see it growing together with purple phacelia, which we'll show later. Alabama snow wreath is a plant I discovered in Tennessee, but back in the 70s. It's a member of the rose family. It has no petals, has 5 green sepals, and a bunch of stamens, the filaments of which are white, make it showy. But it's kind of a strange member of the rose family. The rose family, of course, we know the roses, but it also is the same family that our fruit trees grow in. The apple, the pear, the peach, plum, and cherry are all members of the rose family, as well as our berries, the strawberry, blackberry, and raspberries are all in the rose family. It's a very important food family. Gay wings. This is in the milkwort family, and most of the milkworts have very tiny flowers that usually grow in heads like clover. But this one is larger and more, the flowers are more solitary. This is a beautiful photo by Kurt Emanuel. It has wings, a fuselage, and a propeller. It is about an inch, only a half an inch from wingtip to wingtip. Harbinger of spring is named because it blooms early, and it starts flowering in February and on into March. It is a tiny, very tiny plant. The stamens are purple and the petals are white. So it's sometimes called pepper and salt. It's in the same family as a carrots or Queen Anne's lace. Queen Anne's lace is just a wild carrot. Um, Parsley, celery, parsnip are all in that family. But it also has some plants that are deadly poisonous. The poison hemlock and the water hemlock are in the same family. Pennywort is a spring flowering gentian. Uh, only like 3 inches tall, just barely gets its head above the leaf litter. Most of the gentians bloom in late summer or autumn. The rose pinks bloom in the summer. They're all in that same family. Blue star is in the dogbane family, as is periwinkle. And now they've placed um, the milkweeds and the milk vines in that same family. We have 13 species of milkweed in Tennessee. Butterfly weed is the only orange milkweed. It's also the only milkweed that doesn't have a milky sap. All the others are milky. The other colors generally are white or green or pink or magenta. All 13 species of milkweed are in our wildflower book. Purple Phacelia, this is a plant that often is seen with the stone crop mentioned earlier. This has always been in the waterleaf family, but I think it's been moved now to the touch-me-not family or the borage family. It is also, this Hoary Pracoon is in that same family, growing in dry calcareous places. And the Virginia bluebell is also, all 3 of these plants are now in the same family, touch-me-not family or the borage family. This is a typical color for the bluebell, although it does occasionally come in pink. The buds are pink, but they can sometimes just stay pink. There are also some pure white ones. I saw one place down on the Natchez Trace Parkway where all 3 colors were in bloom within a circle of about 10 feet in diameter. Synandra is a mint, a beautiful plant that blooms in late spring. The mints, a large family of about 90 species in that family, includes the skullcaps, the wood mints, the sage, rosemary, lyre leaf sage, lots of spearmint, peppermint, and so forth. A big family. Squaw root is a parasite on the roots of oak trees. It has no chlorophyll. It looks somewhat like a mushroom or a fungus, but it's definitely not. It's a flowering plant. Each one of these little kind of cream colored knobs is each one an individual flower. Also called bear corn. They say the bears coming out of hibernation eat this as a way of getting their system started in the spring. I don't know if that's a true story or not. Another member of the broom rake family is the cancer root. It also is a parasite, has no chlorophyll. Each stalk, it grows in clusters like this, but each stalk just has one flower, just one solitary flower, uh, kind of a whitish lavender color. Creeping bluet is, most of you may have bluets in your yard. We have about 10 species altogether. This one you would probably not have in your yard. This is more of a mountain plant in the high mountains that is in seepy wet areas. It's in the madder family, actually the same family as in the tropics is the coffee. The coffee that we drink comes from this same family. So those were the dicots. I'm going to show some monocots now. Jack in the pulpit has the jack in the middle, has the spathe around it, surrounding it with a rain flap on top. All the flowers are at the base of the jack, and when the plant is fairly young, just mature enough to flower, all the flowers are male flowers, and they just produce pollen. Then as the plant year to year starts getting more energy, it eventually changes over to a female plant. It actually goes through a sex change and then starts producing fruit. And these fruit then are kind of red orange that show up in the late summer. And this is in the arum family, same as this golden seal. Here is what would be the jack and the jack in the pulpit, but this doesn't have any spathe around it. It's just a naked stalk. But all the flowers are at the top. You can see the yellow color of the flowers and the pollen and so forth. This is a plant that grows in stagnant water. It's an aquatic. Virginia spiderwort is in the spiderwort family along with the dayflowers. Most of the members in this family put up a new flower each day, and the spiderworts have 3 petals that are pretty much equal size, whereas the dayflowers have 2 large petals and 1 small petal. It was actually named for a family that had supposedly had 3 brothers, 2 that were successful and 1 that was unsuccessful. Solomon's plume is one of the members of the lily, historically the lily family. The lily family has now been broken up into like 13 different families. This one has pleated leaves that are alternating up the stem, and then it has all the flowers at the end of the stem in a plume. Whereas Solomon's seal is a similar looking plant, but the flowers are dangling down from beneath the leaf axils as opposed to at the tip. Lily of the Valley is now in that same family with these 2. Trillium, we made sure that all of our trillium in Tennessee were in our wildflower book. Turns out there's one been discovered since the book has been published. But so we have 18 species now. 17 are in our book. 10 of them are on our plants that where the flowers stand above the leaves and on a stalk. So you have the 3 petals, the 3 sepals up above the leaves, and then you have the 3 leaves down below. Then we have the other type, which we call the sessile flowered trilliums, where the petals and sepals sit right at the base of the leaves without a stalk. This is another beautiful photo from Kurt Emanuel. A large flowered bellwort is is one of 4 bellworts that we have in Tennessee. Two species have perfoliate leaves where the stem appears to pierce the base of the leaf. 2 of the species do that. 2 of them are they're sessile. The flowers, I mean the leaves are sessile. They don't have a stalk, but they don't pierce the leaf either. I'm getting a leg cramp. Dwarf crested trillium, dwarf crested iris is quite common in Tennessee, in road banks and hillsides. It colonizes. It's iris is our state flower, but it's not our state wildflower. Our state wildflower is the passion flower. We have about 10 species of iris in the state that grow natural. The orchids, we have about 50 species of orchids in Tennessee. Everything from lady slippers to fringed orchids, tway blades, and coral roots. This one has a white lip, a white spur, and then it has the petals and sepals are magenta, kind of form a hood over the plant. Another, the rose begonia kind of grows in acidic, wet places. We'll be seeing it this spring at the AEDC if you go on that field trip at the end of May. This is a beautiful photo of Mary Martin Schaffner. She was one of our past presidents back in the 1990s, and got this nice image. Well, for plants, join a plant group like the Tennessee Native Plant Society. Go on their field trips. Get out with somebody that knows plants. You know, to catch fish, you have to put your line in the water. We have some excellent field guides and online resources. And now that everybody has a smartphone, I guess, except me, get out and shoot photos of these plants, and you can find somebody that knows what they are. In general, wildflowers of the same family usually look similar. Besides our wildflower guide, the Newcomb Wildflower Guide and the Guide to the Wildflowers by Roger Torres Peterson are excellent illustrated guides. And for trees and shrubs and woody vines, Dr. Wofford and Dr. Chester have an excellent book out on the woody plants of Tennessee. Besides these online resources, we have a new Tennessee, Kentucky online plant atlas to check out. Also check out the TNPS website, which has lots of resources listed. Another thing that's come on recently is the iNaturalist. It's a computer-based, ready-made for smartphones, and it's a resource you may want to consider, certainly. Okay, since everybody has a smartphone, you can get out and take, if you see a plant and you don't know what it is, take a picture of the overall plant, then close up of the leaves and the flowers, and then you can send it to TNPS or to any person that you think knows plants. There's plenty of resources available these days of all sorts. Well, for those that think that all the plants have been discovered in Tennessee, here's 2 that have been discovered recently. This one in 2006, a photographer from Chattanooga sent us this photograph. We were pretty sure it was a plant we hadn't seen before in the state. Turns out that was correct, and it's a leather flower, all right, but it is not a vine. All of our leather flowers in the past have been vines. This one is an upright plant with opposite leaves. Turns out in Tennessee, it's been seen only in the Chattanooga area, I guess Hamilton County. There's only one other place east of the Mississippi that it's been seen, and that's in Floyd County in Georgia. And the bulk of the populations are really in Kansas and Nebraska, and a few in Missouri. Then in 2012, we didn't find this one in time to make it into the Wildflower book. A couple up north of Knoxville found this. They had a little farm there of about 60 acres with some hills and ravines, and it was just right out from their house where they were living. And they thought it looked something different. It does look very close to the lance-leafed trillium and also the prairie trillium. But the folks at UT did some DNA analysis and decided they could claim it as a new species for Tennessee and new to science. This was in 2012. Okay, we've got Tennessee kind of broken up into West, Middle, and East Tennessee. West Tennessee is primarily coastal plain. Middle Tennessee is kind of the interior low plateau, and then Cumberland Plateau East is what we're referring to as East Tennessee. So I'm going to show a few plants from each of these three divisions of Tennessee. And these plants that I'm showing just occur in those sections, not in, like if I'm showing one from West Tennessee, it won't be in the other two. In West Tennessee, we have Reelfoot Lake that Ed Shell took a beautiful picture here at the sunset, looking through the bald cypress trees. And he was managed to get the moon and Venus both in the photograph. Just an excellent shot that he was allowed us to use for our Wildflower book. Copper iris is a rare plant in Tennessee that occurs in the Mississippi River area. In fact, where I've seen it has really been between the Mississippi River and Reelfoot Lake, kind of in the floodplain along ditches and roadsides. Very beautiful and very unusual iris. In Middle Tennessee, we of course have the Highland Rim, the picture of Machine Falls there at Short Springs. And then in the Cedar Glades, here's the Tennessee coneflower. We have four species of Leavenworthia, or the glade cress. This is in the mustard family. This plant is very common in the Cedar Glades, but it doesn't occur outside of Tennessee. It's totally a Tennessee plant. It is the largest flowered of the Leavenworthias, largest petals. It's also multicolored. It comes in white and yellow, and then this kind of a pink lavender tinged, like you see here. It also has fragrance. I think it's the only one of the glade cresses that actually has fragrance. This was a plant found by Milo Pine in Rutherford County near Murfreesboro probably about 40 years ago. It was a plant new to science. Lots of these astragalus in the United States, but this one has not been seen. Besides Rutherford County, I think maybe there's now a few populations in Davidson County, and that's it for the whole world. This Nashville breadroot is also a glade plant, sometimes called Indian breadroot. The leaves look like a lupin, and it is in the same family with the beans and the peas and so forth, but it's enough different that it's been put in a different genus from the lupins. And finally, blue-eyed Mary. If y'all attend our annual meeting where we're going to make a trip to Taylor Hollow, it may be a little too early for it to be in flower then, but there's a lot of it there in Taylor Hollow and in another county to the east, Clay County, and that's the only two places that it grows naturally in Tennessee. I mean, there are other locations for it in Sumner County, but just those two counties, Sumner and Clay. It's been naturalized down at the Nature Center in Chattanooga, but it was not native there. Two more photos of Ed Shell, Big South Fork in the Cumberland Plateau and at Roan Mountain. In my opinion, Roan Mountain is the most scenic place in the state of Tennessee. It is really spectacular if you haven't been there. And of course, when the rhododendrons are in bloom, it really adds even more. Marsh marigold is in the buttercup family. You find this, it's a very rare plant in Tennessee. It's a more northern plant that just barely gets into Tennessee. And this is, you find it in Shady Valley primarily. Flame azalea, we have 8 species of azaleas in Tennessee. And an azalea is just simply a rhododendron that loses its leaves. If it's a deciduous rhododendron, then it's an azalea. And then we have 3 species that are rhododendrons that are evergreen. This is very common in the Smokies, as is this creeping phlox. This is one of about 10 species of phlox that are in Tennessee. I think this is the only one that actually has stolons, like it has runners like a strawberry. They run on top of the ground. Fringed Phacelia is also common in the Smokies and in the high mountains. It carpets the floor of the forest just like snow. We have a very, very closely related species that we call Miami mist that has lavender flowers rather than white, that occurs more fairly common in Middle Tennessee. Rosy twisted stalk is a northern plant that just barely gets into the high mountains in Tennessee. I think it's still a member of the lily family. So many of the former lilies have been moved out, but I think this one is still a member of the lily family. The twisted stalk, and we have 2 species, kind of refers to an evolutionary thing where apparently in the distant past, the stem came out and it forked and it had a flower at the end of each fork. But then somewhere along the line, the second flower got aborted. And so now you have a stalk that has an elbow in the middle of it. Supposing that would where the other flower had been in earlier times. And painted trillium, Again, just a plant that occurs in Tennessee, just in East Tennessee in the higher mountains. It has a blotch of red at the base of each petal. I think they're saying now, I was noticing in the various references, they're still saying this is a trillium. Some of the people that are doing DNA work are saying that that it's not really a true trillium. It's enough different that they've moved it, I think, into another genus. But it still looks like a trillium to me. Okay, and finally, in the spring, to see the plants, you want to go into the woods, along creeks and hillsides and ravines, and before the trees leaf out. Once the floor of the forest goes dark, then get out where the sun is, along roadsides and power lines, in fields and meadows, and from then on into fall. That's where most of the wildflowers is where you'll find them. So thank you. I'm done.
Thank you, Dennis. Thank you very much. We have a variety of questions, some comments. We can go through them. Maybe Hillary, we can alternate going through the chat.
Sure. I have one tagged here up from earlier. I can get started.
Okay.
Someone had a question about whether buzz pollination is what pollinates the shooting star. Are they pollinated through buzz pollination?
I really don't know. Somebody else may be able to answer that. I'm not too much into the pollination part of things. I know the stamens are sticking out front. I mean, they're as they fall from the sky, they're what's getting the tip ablation on the tip of the. I don't know. I have no idea whether they're. I'm assuming they're insect pollinated, but I don't know.
Richard Hitt had replied that yes, bumblebees use buzz pollination on the shooting star to pollinate it. So we do have an answer on that.
Okay.
Another question. Is star chickweed related to bloodroot? Bloodwort, red puccoon?
No, star chickweed is not. They're in total separate families. Let's see. Of course, the chickweed is in the pink family, like we mentioned earlier. Bloodroot. I've forgotten now what family bloodroot is in, but it's not the pink family. It's in a totally different family.
Papaveraceae.
Which one? Say it again.
Poppy family. Papaveraceae.
Poppy family. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it comes in fours. The poppies come in fours. Like bloodroot is 8 or 12 or 16 petals. They're in fours. Yeah, so it's in the poppy family.
The next question was about the best time to divide trillium.
I'm not a gardener. I don't know. Trillium can be tricky. I mean, it's probably one of those plants, and unless you really are into it and know what you're doing, it's probably best to leave them alone. But I can't answer. I can't probably answer any of your gardening questions relative to these plants.
When do the hydrangea bloom on Roan Mountain?
The hydrangeas or the?
I think they had corrected that to be the rhododendron. You should
Yeah.
show that photo.
Yes, the rhodies. Somebody else commented the rhododendrons bloom June-ish. Okay.
They used to, 30, 40 years ago, it used to be the very last weekend in June and maybe even the first weekend in July. But now with the warming that's taken place over the last 30, 40 years, it's moved on up, I think, to the middle of June now. I mean, to be safe, I wouldn't wait any later than the middle of June to go see them. And you can usually see the flame azaleas and the rhododendrons at the same time. And often the Gray's lily is in bloom then too. Like I say, Roan Mountain is a beautiful place, and middle of June, I would say, is really a good time to visit Roan Mountain.
Are there any other questions? Okay, here's another new one. Can you briefly provide your opinion about whether I should allow non-native or invasive plants to exist on my property? How aggressive should I be about trying to remove them and keep them away?
Well, if they really are invasive, they probably, if you can, they probably need to remove them. If they're not aggressive, I mean, we're always going to have some weedy plants, and I don't think it's important that you get rid of all weedy plants, but probably the ones to work on would be the ones that would be crowding out other plants.
Okay. We have a number of comments about the name changes, and they've been answered in the comments with lots of very good suggestions of places to look to see where plant names have been changed, with links to some of those references for those of you that raised that question.
Well, I mean, Google's always a place to start.
Yes.
Everybody has Google at their fingertips, and I mean, the nice thing about Google is if you have a name, you can probably find out more about that plant than you want to know. But if you don't have a name, you're stuck. Of course, the plant manual, the one that we're now selling our inventory for $30, it came out in 2015, so it's fairly up to date. The names are pretty much up to date with that. I'm sure our new Tennessee, Kentucky plant atlas will have up to date names and all the synonyms as well. I think those would be two good sources. And then, like say, just for a quickie lookup, you can always count on Google.
There's also iNaturalist. If all you have is a photo, you can snap a photo with your phone and go to iNaturalist, and they will at least give you some names to start with. And it's up to you to help them determine what it is that you have. But they also have experts that check in and will guide. We have one new question for you, Dennis.
Yes.
It says, is there a plant you can think of that you were very surprised to find in Tennessee?
Well, first of all, that Alabama snow wreath was one that bothered me for like 7 years. I found it down on the Elk River canoeing, and of course I didn't have a camera with me because I didn't want to get the camera wet, and I was so new at botany that I didn't have the knowledge and presence to know that you can save a plant by pressing it. And I took it around to a lot of people to try to get them to tell me what it was. Nobody knew what it was. And like I say, I finally figured it out six or 7 years ago. That was a very unusual plant. It's still pretty rare nationwide. I mean, at that time, it was a new plant to Tennessee. It was 20, 30 years later before it was ever seen in Georgia. It was primarily just in Alabama and Arkansas, and even then it's just a few counties. So that was a very neat experience to be able to see a new plant that I'd never seen before and it be rare all at the same time.
Yes. Follow up to that was also, is there a specific plant endemic to Tennessee that we should watch for in the interest of conservation?
I don't know about for conservation. There's been this what is it called? Alabama croton. That was, somebody had collected it and labeled it as a plant near Tullahoma, and botanists have been looking for that plant for 50 years and never have found it. Of course, I have some growing in my yard, but that doesn't count. But I think the story on that probably is that that same person that collected and labeled it Tullahoma also labeled a plant from Alabama that same day. And people say, well, how could he be in Tullahoma and be in Alabama all at the same time? I really think that specimen was mislabeled is really what I think. I'm not sure it's ever been in Tennessee, but I have it in my yard, so it is in Tennessee.
It's in Tennessee.
But it wouldn't count as a conservation thing. As far as, I mean, there's a lot of plants. I remember Dr. Kroll had a plant that he said we ought to be looking for. It was, I don't know if I can even come up with the name of it, but it's another one that occurs in Alabama, and so I never did find it, but lo and behold, Dwayne Estes had his family up there at Rock Island, and of course he instead of watching his kids, he was nosing around looking for plants, and he found this very plant there at Rock Island, and that was a brand new. I don't know what year that was, but it can't be more than probably 10 years ago. So another new plant for Tennessee, and one that Dr. Kroll said I should be watching for. He said that 30, 40 years ago, and finally we found it. I didn't, but Dwayne Estes did.
Another question is there a way to get one of the books without being there at an event in person? And I can say yes, you can just go to a bookstore or go to the bookstore at any of the parks. They're available everywhere.
You talk about our Wildflower book?
Yes.
Yeah.
They're readily available. It's available in bookstores.
Yeah. Of course, we like for you to buy it from us because it helps our society, but yeah, you can get it at any of the bookstores. You can get it at the state parks. You can get it on, like Google, you can get everything on Amazon, right? You can get any book you ever can imagine on Amazon. Certainly they have it as well. And
please don't pay $48 for it on Amazon. We're selling it for $25. Okay.
Yeah, I've seen it as high as $200, $300, $400 on Amazon.
Yes.
Is that a print?
Yeah. Another question. Has the Tennessee Trillium been seen anywhere besides that one farm?
Well, it's actually in 2 counties. It's along a creek. It's not just at that farm. That was where it was discovered. It's basically uh, it's basically there's a mountain there in the Ridge and Valley. It's called Bays Mountain. Comes down from Kingsport, I guess, and it comes all the way down to about 40 miles from Knoxville, and all of a sudden Bays Mountain stops. Well, the Interstate 81 is on the east side of Bays Mountain, and this Trillium is on the west side of Bays Mountain. and it grows along the creek. I think there's a creek, I think it's called Bullet Creek, and it grows scattered along on that creek. It actually makes it all the way up into another county. There's 2 counties, mostly in 1 county, but that's where it's located, and they have a lot of it on their farm. Well, it's not really it's just really a wooded. I mean, their house is there, but they don't farm it. It's really just a wooded ravine area, and they have a lot of it there. But it isn't just on their property. It's scattered along that creek in various places, and it's almost identical. There's another Trillium that was discovered about 5 years before that, up in South Carolina. It's called the Watery Trillium. This Trillium is almost identical to it, and if it wasn't for DNA, it would have definitely been called that Trillium and not Tennessee Trillium. But there was enough differences, and they're 400 miles from each other, and so they felt like it was justified to make it a new species. But that one was, the other one was also just recently discovered. So I mean, it was that whole type of Trillium is brand new. One more thing I might say is that Tennessee is a very diverse state. The geology is very diverse, and because of the varied geology, the plants are very diverse. It's the richest state, I guess, in the east of the Mississippi that does not touch the ocean. I mean, it's the richest inland state in the whole eastern United States. And so it gets Canada plants coming down the mountains into the Smokies and Lone Mountain and all. So it gets the northern elements there. There are plants that come up from Alabama that are coastal plain plants into places like May Prairie and some of our other I guess you'd call them savannas. And then those savannas are also Midwestern prairie plants, the tall grass prairies like of Illinois and so forth that come down this way. And then you have these cedar glade plants. I mean, Kentucky has its bluegrass region around Lexington and the horse country, but Tennessee has more rare plants by far than Kentucky because of our glades. So we have three unique habitats that make Tennessee one of the richest states for plants, and it is the richest state outside of some of the coastal. Like Georgia is a big state, and of course Florida has all the subtropical, and so there's other states that are richer, but it's the richest one that is not on the that doesn't touch the ocean.
In a related question, Dennis, someone asked, do you think that the new plants that are discovered are plants that no one had stumbled upon before, or something that's morphed from a previous variety or into a new variety?
I didn't quite get the questions at the end there. There's two of them I didn't get. I didn't understand. Can you say that
So
again?
the question is, do you think the new plants that are discovered are plants that no one had stumbled upon before, or something that's morphed into a new variety?
Oh, I think they just hadn't discovered them before. Some in the case of these two plants, they just hadn't discovered them, I think, before. Certainly, the trillium is that way. Interestingly enough, the leather flower down around Chattanooga, once it was photographed and sent to us, and we said this is a new plant to Tennessee. Joey Shaw went back into the herbarium there at UTC and found that somebody had collected it back in the 1930s, but they didn't know what it was, and they labeled it something else, and it lay there. Same way in Georgia. Somebody had collected it in 1939, and it wasn't identified correctly until just maybe 5 years before ours was. So no, they didn't evolve. I mean, it wasn't because of evolution. It was just because of either oversight or mis labeling. Identifying the plant. Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, certainly. No fast evolution. Right.
One more question. Is the Alabama snow wreath a shrub?
It is. Yes, it's a shrub. It grows like blackberries or raspberries. It's a biennial type of shrub. Like blackberries, they send up these canes, and they don't flower or fruit the first year, and then they have the fruit the second year.
Mm-hmm.
And this is exactly the way the Alabama snow wreath is. It's a bunch of canes that they're woody, but they're only basically last 2 years. I mean, the plant continues to grow. I mean, I have that one in my yard as well, and it flowers every year, and it sends up new canes, and behaves just like a raspberry or a blackberry.
Okay.
And that's why Asa Gray said, well, it's got to be a rose, even though it doesn't have any petals. It's got to be a rose. And so it got put in. It wasn't discovered until I think it was the 1870s or 80s, down near Tuscaloosa, Alabama. And so that's why it's called Alabama snow wreath, because it was first discovered in Alabama.
Okay. Well, thank you, Dennis. We really appreciate you taking the time out to do this for us, and getting our appetites whetted for going out and seeing all these beautiful plants as the weather warms a little bit. I want to thank all of our TNPS members who have been busy answering so many of the questions in chat. That has been a big help because people get the immediate feedback, and in ways that it's not easy for us to say verbally. When it's written down, some things make more sense when you see the link, and you can actually go back and use the link.
Yeah, I guess it works a lot like iNaturalist, right?
Yes, Bettina's been answering questions. Brian Hendricks has been answering questions. Joanna's been answering questions. Richard answered some. Richard hit. And for all of you, thank you. And we hope to see you at our next meeting, which will be next month. We'll have Larry Pounds, another board member from TNPS. Dr. Larry Pounds will be speaking at our next one about the Cumberland Trail, the native plants along the Cumberland Trail. So Dennis, thank you.
You're welcome. I'm glad to do it.
We much appreciate it. And in effect, you're our guinea pig being the first one up, but thank you for trusting us and working with us. And thank you everyone for dropping by and visiting with us. We'll look forward to seeing you on another seminar in a month, or we'll be doing this every month. So hopefully we'll see you next month and every month thereafter. Good night.
Good
All
night.
right, thank you.
It was great. Thanks. Good night.
Good night.